Okay, so welcome everyone to this training school on circular economy in Europe and in Africa. I would like to welcome you all here in Linz, Austria, and also Traumkirchen. The last day will be in Traumkirchen. We will travel up with a bus into Upper Austria towards the mountains, and hopefully you will also get to enjoy the nice sceneries of Upper Austria. So just one second. So I would like to start this training course. This morning training course is really the introduction to get to know each other and to look where do we want to go, and also to see a little bit how the training course is structured. So if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand. It should be very interactive. We should interact, we should work together. And in order to trigger your interests and your ideas, I would like to start with a short video. So I'm going to start this video without any comments and then make a few comments about it. 1 second, I just have to switch over. So please enjoy the video.
Oj, kolla här. Kolla här.
Var det där en lavin eller?
Ja, den är kontrollerad. Alltså, det är såna jäkla krafter.
Är det safe?
Ja, de vet vad de gör.
Pappa!
Ja, det är ingen fara.
Så den där är kontrollerad.
Harry, det är lugnt, Harry!
Okay, so this was a very short video. Can you see the slides? And I would like to stop the video at exactly this location. And I want to make an analogy with some of the news that we have been hearing in the newspapers and by scientists and so on. I don't want to take any side on this, or I don't want to take any political side on this. But I just want to kind of look at the situation. If you hear some changes that are coming towards you, and you can see now here a few people reacting differently. I just want to analyze the situation and make an analogy without now stating that we are in a state of emergency or so, but just to see how to react to a situation where change is coming. And you can see here some people look towards the avalanche. Some people are sitting, getting very interested. Other people's already getting afraid. And I think you could make some analogies with the situation we are in the world today. And I do want to make some analogies to circular economy. If you look at it, you can see here in the black text, extreme weather events. I mean, I think we can all agree that somehow weather seems to get a bit more intensive. I think we can all agree that waste is a problem. We have to somehow solve the waste problem in order to avoid our oceans to get overfilled with plastic and to avoid our nature of being filled up with plastic. I think we can all agree that resource depletion is a big problem. We need to start reusing the resources, because simply some of the resources will be used up if we look at the scientific reports. And soil liquidation is a big problem. I think we can all agree on it, that in some parts of the world there's a big problem. So you can see it this way, that there are some changes in the world that simply are there, and we are aware of it, we can monitor it, but we also have solutions to it. We have mitigation and options. We can anticipate changes. We can come up with technology and business opportunities. We can come up with adaptation strategy, compensation strategies, And so to cut a long story short, I think there's a huge opportunity for circular economy. And there are examples out there where people have been making a nice business case that is sustainable, that leads to a more sustainable world. And this is what we would like to address with today's training course. Again, the training course should be as interactive as possible. We are a very international group from various different countries. We'll get to know each other in just a few moments. And I think our objective is to work together, to come up with ideas, and to look how we can take these ideas a step further. Where can we get funding? How can we collaborate? And how can we take what we learned today in interaction with experts? We will introduce the experts in just a few moments towards something that is more sustainable and that also creates an opportunity for economic growth. So the training school is organized by different, or is supported by different organizations. For sure, it's supported by the Cost Action Circular City. Günter Langengraber, professor from Boku University in Vienna. He will introduce himself in just a few moments, but the cost action is the core. It provides the funding. Some of you got funding to be here. It also provides us the funding to rent this room and to organize this event. Then there's Reykjavik University in Iceland. I'm the professor at Reykjavik University, so Reykjavik University is also supporting this event. And I will go into the specific case of Iceland in just a few moments. Then there's the Polymer Institute from the Johannes Kepler University, Fisher, and he will represent the Polymer Institute and go into circular economy, especially regarding polymer components. Unsole is an African organization, and Daniel Egbe, professor and privatdozent at Johannes Kepler University. He is from Unsole, and he has Unsole's organization in Africa that Daniel will introduce in a few moments. And the Energy Institute at the Johannes Kepler University is the organizing member here in Linz, and also affiliated to the Energy Institute. And the Energy Institute works a lot with circular economy solutions and making the energy sector more efficient, more sustainable, and especially also shifting it towards renewable energies. And finally, Johannes Kepler University, which is just located about a kilometer to the east. Hopefully we'll get to see it tomorrow, I believe. We will get to see some of the facilities at the Johannes Kepler University. So overall, it's a very international group. I put here up the flags of the different organizations, Iceland, Austria, Germany, European countries, and of course, our African friends. The second part of the school is focused on Africa. Daniel will introduce the speakers, and we will put a strong emphasis on how to put circular economy, how to develop it in developing countries, in particular in Africa. So I would like to make a short round of introduction to give those people that I've already introduced a short moment. Of course, like I mentioned, the people from Africa, though the lecturers from Africa, our friends and experts, they will introduce them as in the second part of the week. But I would like to give the word to Professor Langengraber to introduce himself very shortly.
Yeah, hello. My name is Günter Langengraber. I'm from Boku University in Vienna. And unfortunately, I can only be here for today. But I'm happy that you all made it to Linz, to one of the training schools that is supported within the Cost Action Circular City. And I will tell you a little bit more about Boku and the cost action itself in one of the first lectures then after David.
Okay. Thank you very much. So now, Professor Fisher, Maybe you can introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. Hello, my name is Jörg. I'm a professor at the Institute of Polymeric Materials and Testing at the JKU, Johannes Kepler University of Linz. I'm polymer engineering since a long time, and my focus in research and teaching in the last few years is circular economy of plastics, and we will hear tomorrow a little bit of that for Europe, for Austria, especially for Austria in that case. And in our exercises in the afternoon tomorrow, you will see also a pilot plant for circular economy of plastics here at JKU. And we will have some possibilities to do recycling of plastics by ourselves. Hopefully it works.
Okay, thank you very much. And then Daniel Ekpe, lecturer and CEO.
Yeah, as David said already, I'm Daniel Ekpe. I'm originally from Cameroon. I am professor in organic chemistry. I am based in Germany and Austria. I'm the CEO of UNSOL, African Network for Solar Energy. This is a network which fosters research and training in renewable energy and water-related issues in Africa. So the network is in 55 African countries, organizes a lot of events, and offers scholarships to African students. In general, we are our focus is on sustainability in different concepts. Yeah. So I'm one of the co-organizers of this event.
Okay, thank you very much. And then, of course, I would like to thank especially Tiziana Strobel and Matthias Hilger. They are the two persons outside. They are the backbone of this event because they are organizing everything, the room here, the sweets, the coffee, the bread, and the refreshments. So I will, of course, perhaps they will come back and we will be able to thank them. And of course, myself, I'm from Reykjavik University and the Energy Institute at Johannes Kepler University. I've introduced, like I mentioned already before. So now I would like to make a short round of introducing you, but before you get a chance to introduce yourself, I would like to make an exercise to get a bit refreshed. You know, we all have been sitting a long time. You might have been traveling all the way from Iceland or from Africa. And so I would like to make a short exercise and ask you to get up. And those who are from Africa to go to this side, or Africa and the rest of the world to go to this side of the room, and those who are from Europe to go to this side of the room, just so that you can already see a little bit who has similar interests. And of course, feel free to greet the people that are on your side and say hello. So I'm going to put Africa, North America, or America on the right-hand side, just to mingle a bit and try to... Asians, of course. Yes. So just to see, okay, I see that there are more people on the European side, less people on the rest of the world side. We might have to set it up, but we can see already that there probably by the end of the week.
I want to say that many of our guests from Africa, some are coming, still coming, some will be arriving today, and some could not make it because of lack of visa, so they will be online.
Yes, there are some people online, and unfortunately we had some problems with the visa for some of the people of our colleagues from Africa, so we're still waiting, but they will be hopefully here by the second part of the week. So then the second question, so these are just questions to mingle you a little bit. Would you rather spend your vacation in a 5-star hotel or go in camping in the highlands? Keep in mind, it's not really, the camping in the highlands in Iceland can be very expensive. If you want to have a jeep that goes all the way to the glaciers, you might be almost in the same monetary value as if you go to a 5-star hotel in Mallorca or some of those vacation destination. So feel free to change the locations you are. It's just so that you get to know each other. Yes, okay. So we see that there's a little bit of change. Some people would rather stay in the five-star hotel. And
Just one new guest.
okay, we got a new guest. Okay. So then the next question is profession and student. So if you're a professional expert, please go to the right side. And if you are a student, please go to the left side. So there's a little bit of change. Of course, if you're a PhD student, you can consider yourself an expert or a PhD student. They can stand in the middle. Yes. Okay, very good. Very good. And then I would like to ask you the question about coffee or tea. Again, if you rather would have coffee, please go to the right side. If you would rather have tea, go to the left side. So, okay, so you saw that this was quite a bit of movement, and I hope that you, maybe perhaps last question, morning person or evening person. So please go to the right side or to the left side according to you. Yes, okay, very good. So, mountains, beach, I mean, we can go on with this for forever, but maybe I'm going to skip the questions. I'm going to come back to our program. This is our tentative program. The first part, and I already mentioned it, today is really to get to know each other. In the afternoon, we will have some exercise on circular resource recovery.
Can you announce it?
Yes, I can.
So
yeah.
we will, for you to have a name tag, we'll distribute these tags. You write your name and gum it on your chest so that people can read your name and see. You write your name and maybe say your country, where it comes from. Yeah, yes, yeah. So we'll distribute it afterwards.
Yes. So during the coffee break, you can grab a name tag, put it on your side here so that we can get to know each other easier. So please, you can again take your seat. And the purpose of this morning exercise was just a little bit to wake you up and to mingle you between people. And hopefully you saw one or the other person that has a similar interest and that you might interact with regarding your project. So the training course is set up like this. Today, we will have some introductory exercises. I'm going to be talking a little bit about Iceland. I think Iceland is a very interesting case because Iceland was one of the poorest countries before the Second World War and is now one of the richest countries of Europe. And that's why I want to tell you a little bit about the story of Iceland. But so this is going to be introduction in the afternoon, and then Professor Lagoon will introduce the cost action. In the afternoon, Professor Kisser will do some exercises, hands-on training, and then tomorrow we will look at circular economy in Austria, and then Wednesday and Thursday will be focused on Africa, and then to finish it off on Friday, we will have a trip to some of the companies here in Linz. Linz is the energy center of Austria because all the heavy industry, First Alpine is here, Borealis is here, all the big energy consuming companies are located in Linz. And so that's why it's very, very interesting case from an energy geological, geographic point of view. And in the afternoon, we will drive up into the northern border of the Salzkammergut to Traunsee, and we will spend an afternoon in Traunkirchen. It's a beautiful place. So it's just to make you also see the beauty of Austria, because it's not all industries as you might think if you drive through some of the areas in Linz. But you will, this will be the follow-up. But most importantly, in Linz, I would like you to prepare your idea of a project for circular economy. You can do this in collaboration with the peers. That's why we did this exercise where you got to know each other. but I would like you to come up with a project idea that we can discuss with the experts and where we can look into ways of taking it a step further. It could be a master thesis, it could be a PhD project, it could be a business idea. So this is really what I would like you to take home with you when you go back to your home country, that you have an idea of how you could actually go ahead with your idea. So main objective is to provide you training in circular economy. But of course, the initiative has to come from you. Please feel free to contact any of the experts presenting during the week and discuss with them, interact with them, and try to network with them and try to set up a path in order to fulfill your project ideas. So a little bit of background. I showed this video about this avalanche coming, and I suggest that there's an analogy with the current situation. Of course, this is not all just my whatever thoughts, but this is based on some decades of research, especially the Resilience Center in Stockholm. They have been working on this quite a long. So in 2009, they published this paper, highly cited paper, about the safe operating space for humanity, where they identified different spaces where we are running into something that is a tipping point. We might go into something that cannot be sustainable. And feel free to look into this. I keep provided the paper to it. You also have the link in the slides. The slides will be available. But this is just a bit the background. Why should we become circular instead of going on with a input-output economy as we have been doing perhaps during the last decades or centuries? So the 9 limits of the planetary boundaries, they have been republished in 2015 again, and they actually identified some of the boundaries are reaching a critical point. So obviously climate change is now almost every day in the news. It's a big issue. We have to consider it. Last year's Nobel Prize went to the people working on these simulations regarding the projections of climate change. So I do think that this has some substance. And of course, you can, again, look into this paper and look at the planetary boundaries. Just as a background, where we are today, and if you look at the global scale, what scientists say about the development regarding resources and regarding some of the state of the planet. Of course, then there have been some of these papers that have been signed by several 10,000 scientists around the world. So we might take this again as a background. So also in 2015, just following the planetary boundary report, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations have been implemented. They have been signed by most of the countries in the world. And I think today there are a lot of initiatives. I think really there's a change in the world. Many communities, many municipalities work towards the Sustainable Development Goals. It's a big issue here in Linz. Linz wants to become the capital of climate change. And in Iceland as well, there are a lot of communities like Kópavogur, just outside Reykjavik, they are adhering towards those Sustainable Development Goals. So I do think there's a change also in the mindset of the people, and I actually don't see this so much as a threat. I see this as an opportunity for us to develop new concepts, new ways of dealing with resources and go towards something that is more circular. So this is a very interesting figure. It has been shown, and frequently it's used in 2 different ways. You have here on the x-axis the economic output. No, you have here on the y-axis you have the Sustainable Development Index. How well are countries implemented the Sustainable Development Goals? And on the x-axis you have the economic power of the country. And you can see here, of course, the developing countries, they are on the lower left side of the graph. While the highly developed countries, like especially the Scandinavian countries, they are rather on the upper right side. So they have a high economic output, but they also have a lot of sustainable development goals implemented in their policies, in their economy. Sweden has been one of the countries that has always performing best in the past years regarding sustainable development. And Austria ranges a little bit more towards the left, but it's also rather in the upper right-hand side. I think it's, I mean, I can provide the slides, then you can take a look at it. The main message I want to bring across with this is what comes first? Does sustainable development come first, or does economic output come first? Of course, if you have the economic wealth, you can invest into changes and create something that is more sustainable. But perhaps in some cases, sustainability leads to a higher economic output. And I want to give you a few examples from Iceland where I can show you how Iceland does. Okay, this is just a figure about climate change, because climate change is a big issue with these COP meetings every year that have been happening. And you can see here also the development of importance. You can see in the upper figure the Kyoto Protocol when it was signed in 1997. And of course, in recent years, this has become a really huge event with many thousands of people attending and contributing to it. So regarding climate change, you all probably have heard of the Paris Agreement. In the Paris Agreement, countries came together, said we should stick below 1.5 degrees warming. So if we adhere to this goal of the Paris Agreement, then we have roughly 7 years left in order to reduce in order to stop CO2 emissions. With the current emissions, we will reach 1.5 degrees Celsius warming within the next 7 years, roughly. This is simply according to the scientists that have been looking into this. And so it's a big issue, and I think it should be addressed also in circular economy. You can track the different actions, climate actions for the different countries. This is actually being monitored by different organizations, and you can take a look into it. So, as I mentioned before, I want to say a few words about Iceland, and then proceed with the rest of the program. Iceland is a very interesting country. Here you see Iceland. How many of you have been to Iceland? 1, 2, 3 people. What comes to your mind if you think about Iceland? Maybe we're going to stand with. Yeah.
I think about it. That's cold right now. Yeah, it's like completely renewable. It's a pretty unique place.
Anyone else? Amir?
Good morning. I've been in Iceland in October, and I think it's cold and also windy.
Who else was in Iceland? Want to say something? Yes.
It's also expensive, but quite beautiful.
Quite beautiful and expensive and windy and cold. But actually, until the Second World War, this was one of the poorest countries. There was actually nothing really to do in Iceland because the highlands were highly degraded. There's only the coast that you can use for agricultural production. So the only thing that the Icelanders could do was fishing and perhaps sheep farming. But sheep farming was, and both are really hard labor sectors. You spend many hours working very hard, physically working very hard. And so it was really a difficult place to do any business. But today, as I will show, Iceland is one of the, in terms of economy, one of the strongest countries in Europe. with a very strong economy. And even though it collapsed in 2008 due to a financial crisis, it has recovered and is again doing pretty well since then. But like mentioned already, in Iceland, 100% of the domestic energy production comes from renewable energies. It's hydropower and geothermal energy. And I just want to point this out because this is perhaps one of the reasons that Iceland is doing in terms of economy pretty well. So background is Iceland is about 100,000 square kilometers large, 300, perhaps now 350,000 people. I don't know exactly the exact figures for today, but most of the highlands in the center are inaccessible during wintertime. For 3-4 months, it's simply covered by ice, and it's impossible to build a hotel there. I mean, it's possible, but it's not very comfortable to stay in very windy and snowy conditions. You heard it, it's cold and windy and wet. So large parts of the countries are not possible to do at least any agriculture. There's quite some wetlands, and only 2.4% of the areas can be used for agricultural production. So here some economic figures. GDP with almost $60,000 per year, or per capita, $60,000. So it's one of the strongest economic countries in Europe. So, but as mentioned, the GDP has not always been, per capita has not always been like this. In 1940, Second World War, Iceland was still part of Denmark, but became independent during the Second World War. And at that time, it was actually Russia that imported the first tractors to Iceland and revolutionized agricultural production in Russia. Then in 1951, the Cold War started, and the Americans built some bases, military bases, and this was, of course, an income to Iceland. So these two factors were not really, don't have anything to do with the circular economy, but they are part of the initiation of the Icelandic industrialization of the society. Because with the income from the tractors, from Soviet tractors that revolutionized agriculture, and the Americans that became suspicious of the Soviet activities in Iceland, there was a lot of income, so the Icelanders could develop their fishing industry, have more modern boats, and become one of the per capita highest fish production countries in the world. But in the 1960s, Iceland became aware of their huge potential for renewable energies. It's wet and cold and windy, so wind and water create perfect opportunities for wind production and hydropower production. It was in the late 1960s that Iceland started slowly to state, look, we're not going to import any more coal and oil for heating purposes, but we're going to use our own resources by using hydropower and geothermal energy. Of course, the Swiss, our neighbors, they were the first to actually realize that Iceland can produce very cheap renewable energy. And they came in and said, look, we're going to use this energy because you have to somehow export it. If you produce a lot of electricity in Iceland, you still need some way of exporting it. And this Swiss company came to Iceland and said, we're going to invest and build an aluminium smelter. And this was the first aluminium smelter that was built in, I think, in 1965 in Hafnarfjörður, just outside Reykjavik City, to use the bauxite produced in Brazil, shipped to Iceland, and there the energy is used for the smelting and producing electricity. And then in the 1970s, Swaziland came in. So these were the geothermal power plants, and the Icelanders really said, we want to switch over towards our own energy and reusing some of the resources. Wartsenki is actually a pretty interesting geothermal power plant because it's not only electricity production, it's also heat production, it's also the supplier of the Blue Lagoon, the most important touristic attraction in Iceland. A few years ago, before the pandemic, 2.5 million tourists came to Iceland. That's 7 tourists per Icelander. It's really a huge economic sector, tourism. But the point I want to make is that Iceland has, since the 70s, tried to use the resources from the waste streams from some of the power companies, from the fishery, and so on. So Swaziland is a very interesting example. They are producing their methanol, for example, by recycling the CO2 from the geothermal power plant, producing methanol and exporting it as an energy efficient fuel. Of course, Icelanders have also discovered the financial sector. Financial sector is still a huge part of the Icelandic economy. Here in the picture, Kaupthing Bank, which is now called Arion Banki. And of course, in 2008, you can see it also here, there was a big dip because of the economic crisis where Iceland went bankrupt, but they have recovered and things are going better. So this is a bit the story of Iceland. I want to address the 4 major sectors: the fishery, the waste, the household waste, the aluminium sector, and what did I have? The Blue Lagoon. So in the fishery sector, there's Mattis. Mattis is an organization that really looks into how to reuse the waste stream or the resource stream from the fishery sector in a way that they can recycle, reuse the resources and generate an added value. It's not a fully circular system because some parts are still linearly used and not totally recycled, but still it's an economic sector that becomes more and more important by simply using some of the waste streams and creating an added value, an added economic value. And you can look into it, this has been published, but it's really a sector where the added value from reusing the resources became important and almost becomes equally important as the export of the fish themselves. Domestic waste, household waste, is a big issue in Iceland because obviously Iceland, since it's an island, you cannot, you would have to export it. And currently it's still going into landfills. But since almost 60% of the household waste in Reykjavik is organic nature, they use now a biogas reactor and produce methane biogas in order to, for some heating purposes and for some transportation purposes. I believe the current contract is that they have contracts with some of the industries to supply methane for transportation to the buses and the trucks. And there's roughly 4% of the cars in Iceland that run on methane. And since it's a waste product from processing the organic waste from the city, and this is of course a total cycle of the CO2. So it's in principle a carbon-free fuel that is being used in Iceland. Of course, biogas reactors exist all over. We also have it here in Linz, where the bio-waste is separated. But I just want to point it out that in Iceland, this is an important sector because you can also use the residual waste for fertilizer and making input. So this is the Gaia facility. It's now fully functional. It was built in, the construction started in 2020, but now it's fully functional and biogas is produced in Reykjavik. So how am I doing in time? I don't see the time here, but I'm going to go on. So Blue Lagoon, Swaziland, I mentioned it already. Blue Lagoon is really the tourist attraction in Iceland. Over 1 million tourists, visitors are visiting the Blue Lagoon. And it became a bigger economic factor than the original power plant itself. And it's just a way of showing that you can use perhaps the waste stream. In principle, this is just the waste brine, the geothermal brine that goes through the steam engine of the power plant and then is released into the lava field. And it created this Blue Lagoon with these silicon-based ingredients. And it became really a huge touristic attraction. Also, cosmetic products are produced with the silicon and the minerals that are in the water, so which create an additional economic value. In my opinion, it's just one example how to use the side streams of a power plant in a way to create an added value, added economic value. So, circular. Yeah, so you have here a few figures. I'm going to provide the slides. If you want to discuss this specific case, feel free to contact me during the break. Then, of course, the aluminium sector. Aluminium is really the biggest industry in Iceland, heavy industry at least, because large part of the power plants are built for the aluminium industry. You can say this is controversial, but in a way you can also say that it's one way of producing aluminium with a very low carbon footprint. If you go to other places in the world, you don't have this amount of renewable energies currently available. It might change in a few years, but it's one way of producing aluminium with a very low carbon footprint. So the example I want to show here is the Alcoa Plant in the East Fjords, where Newcomb was built. It's a power plant with 690 megawatt capacity that is in principle producing energy 100% of the time, 100% of efficiency, and providing the electricity to the smelter. But of course, Iceland knows that this is one of their benefits to have a very low carbon footprint. Otherwise, they will be competing with areas where salary prices are a lot lower. We heard it, Iceland is expensive, but one reason why Iceland is still attractive for heavy industries is because they have huge amounts of renewable energies for a low price with a low carbon footprint. Perhaps low carbon footprint is not everything that counts, because you also have to become more sustainable. So the Icelandic aluminium industry has a huge cooperation, especially with Reykjavik University, in order to make the system more sustainable and to look into circular economy solutions that could make Iceland an even more sustainable location for industries like aluminium. Of course, it's up to the Icelanders to decide how they want to use the energy. I just want to address that this could be one example where we could look into solutions for circular economy. And this is all been published. You can read this in the papers that have been published, so I'm not going to go into further details about it. The conclusions I want to make is that Iceland is a very interesting case for circular economy solutions, because it has a lot of opportunities, and because it's an island, and they have to look into ways of reusing the resources, otherwise they have to import it, and this has, of course, an additional cost. And I do think that Icelanders in some cases have done a great job by reusing some of the resources and creating an added economic value. So this was all I wanted to say about Iceland. Now I really want to give you the opportunity to interact and to think about project ideas that you would like to focus on. And I hope that you, in this week, during the week, can interact with the experts present, with the lecturers, in order to try to take your project idea a step further come up with a way of finding funding, or discuss at least a way of finding funding that you can present on Friday afternoon when we will travel up to Alcoa, your project idea, and that we can together discuss ways of how to proceed with your project idea. So there are different exercises that we will have to do that hopefully will help you develop your project idea. We will have different presentations like you heard before. So each expert will have small exercises that you will have to do with the experts together, and that you might use for your project idea. But I think, at least what I hope that you can achieve within the next 5 days, that you can simply present within 20 minutes your project idea, that we can sit together 10 minutes as a group and discuss how to proceed with your project idea. Yeah, I think this is it. We will meet every day in this classroom at 9 o'clock. Some people will be online until 12. And then from 1 to 4, we will have in the afternoon exercises. And yeah, if there are any questions regarding the setup of the training school. Okay, so then, yeah, I think we are a very diverse group of students or participants and experts from various different backgrounds. So it's the purpose of this training school is really to understand what are the drivers for circular economy, to understand also the technical, scientific, and societal issues determining the outcome, and to use the Austrian example and perhaps also the Icelandic example to see how we can implement it in other areas of the world, like, for example, our African colleagues that will present on Wednesday and Thursday. It's not really an engineering course, so but we will of course get familiarized with some of the technologies. So I think if you don't have an engineering background, you will still be able to follow what the content of the different lectures that will be given during the week. Yeah, we will, of course, try to understand the scientific background of the various different concepts that we will be presenting, but we will also look at the economics and the policies. So we are widespread, and we want to try to give you circular economy a holistic overview of the entire city. I think it's really up to you to put in your motivation, your ideas, to come up with your project to discuss. You can of course work together in groups if you feel like it. I think since we're a rather small group, 43 people registered, not everybody could come, but feel free also if you have your own project, you can also go by yourself, but perhaps it's nice if you work as a group together. And we will have a couple of field visits where we will see actual circular economy solutions implemented in the area of Linz. Yeah, I'm going to skip this. And so this is just, in principle, the way I will proceed. Usually I take a piece of paper and just draw everything down before I go writing into a computer, but this is of course up to you. I think it's important to do kind of a brainstorming, and before you start writing up a business plan, to perhaps have an outline so that we can discuss as you formulate your ideas, the structure of it. So feel free to interact if you have an idea with the lecturers or the experts that you will meet. From my side, The only assignment that you have is to come up with a presentation of your project idea until Friday afternoon. And of course, you will get some assignments then from the individual lectures during the week. I'm kind of repeating myself, but it's simply another way of structuring the week. Today we will have mostly introduction. Tomorrow we will visit some of the facilities at the Johannes Kepler University. Wednesday, Thursday we'll focus on circular economy in Africa, and then on Friday we will do the discussion. Yeah, so I would like to thank you for your attention, and would like to make a short coffee break so that you can interact with each other. We're a rather small group, so feel free to come up. Yes?
Let's make a round around the table.
Okay, so yeah,
We all have our name tags, but it would be nice because for me, I have read all your names. So it would be nice to get to know.
Yes, so maybe we make a short round. I'm just going to pass the microphone around so everybody can introduce themselves very shortly.
My name is Anne Blair. I'm doing my master's at Reykjavik University in Iceland right now. I'm studying sustainable energy science.
Hello, I'm Bettina Meinhardt. I'm an economist. I'm located in Vienna, and I'm currently doing my PhD on international trade and environmental policy.
Hi everybody, my name is Marcela Luarasi and I come from Albania. I'm a lecturer at Agriculture University of Tirana. And I'm an economist and I started my PhD in University of Milan in Italy.
Hello everybody, so I'm Dilshan. I came from Italy, but I'm working as a PhD student in University of Brescia. So currently my focus is about resource recovery from lithium and batteries. That's my project. So I'm still working in university.
Hello, I'm Leman Erdoğan. My name is Leman Erdoğan. I'm coming from Turkey, Istanbul Medeniyet University. I'm a lecturer at the university, and I study energy supply security and renewable energy.
Hi everyone, my name is Nikita. I'm coming from Switzerland, and I am in the middle between, we saw those two sides, student and professional. I am a research assistant at the University of Applied Sciences, and I'm also doing my master's in environment and natural resource use. And I think I would like to bring my master's idea as a project, which is biochar and materials science.
Hello, my name is Violeta Zibran Sanchez. I'm from Switzerland, Zurich. I'm doing right now my bachelor, and I'm focusing about my bachelor work in natural-based solutions. So that's one of the reasons why I'm here. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lily. I'm doing my master's degree at University of Malta. My master's degree is committed by research, and the main focus of my research is waste collection.
Hello, my name is Gaetano Bertino. I come from Italy and I work in Vienna in a research company where I am also project manager for an H2020 project, Divagri, that it talks about diversification of agriculture opportunities in Africa. So that's why I'm also here, and I would like to take advantage of these opportunities to learn as much as possible about circular economy.
Hello, my name is Sandra Chaka. Yeah, I'm a PhD student at IPMT at the JKUs in Linz. And yeah, we are in the project team of polymer recycling. And my specific topics are in chemistry, more or less, because I'm looking at emission and migration of volatile organic compounds from recyclates.
Hi, my name is Moritz. I'm also a PhD student at the IPMT at the JKU in Linz, and I'm focusing on mechanical recycling.
I'm Amir Bolipour from Lisbon University. I'm a PhD student in environmental engineering, and my expertise is about wastewater and resource recovery from waste.
Thank you. My name is Elise Kashigi from Rwanda. I'm lecturer at the University of Rwanda in chemistry department and focusing on waste management and environmental management.
Hi everyone, my name is Brown Molumondi. I'm Kenyan, however I come from Munich, where I work at a UNUS Environment Hub, which is a global social business network. And I'm working as a regional program manager in East Africa, focusing on the Build Back Better project, which seeks to support social businesses to harness the advantages of circular economy to come out of COVID-19 more stronger, more resilient, and more greener. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we have a very interesting group together here, and I think I hope that we can come up with some really interesting ideas. One last thing, very important, is to sign this attendance list, because that's how we can get funding for to organize this event. This is how cost action works. If you don't sign it, you don't get funding for your participation. And also, those of you who have received a financial support to join us, even more important, because if you don't sign, you cannot get the financial support. So it's important that you sign it every day. And every day is a separate sheet, so every day you should sign when you arrive the attendance list. Thank you very much.
Those online tests, two of them can present themselves online. Is it possible?
Yes, maybe the people online, would you have a... Yes, exactly. Maybe we have I think 3-4 people online. We're gonna stop the video presentation mode, and then we have to go into, how do I do this? 1 second. So, Elif, would you like to present yourself? I think you would have to unmute yourself, and perhaps you would also have, let's try, maybe, can you say a few words?
Okay, hello, my name is Elif Arıcı. I am at the Technical University Istanbul at Energy Institute. And normally I am not very interested in these recycling topics. But you know, Turkey is the most biggest exporter of plastic waste from Europe. So I just wanted to know more about this. This was my motivation. So let's see if we will have a good idea for further projects or not.
Okay, Elif, she's from Istanbul, professor at the Istanbul University. I'm just repeating.
I am from Istanbul Technical University.
Istanbul Technical University.
And I heard there is somebody from Istanbul too. Yes. There is somebody from Istanbul there in the group.
Yes, exactly. So I hope maybe perhaps there are possibilities to collaborate. Yes, I'm struggling with connecting. In principle, it should go directly over the loudspeaker. So I don't know exactly how to do this, but I have to figure this out till the next session.
But just allow the other people to say something.
Yes.
So I will be live there on Friday. So don't worry, we will have.
Elif will join us on Friday for the excursion. She will come to Linz, and so you will be able to meet her in live. So we have a second professor from Klagenfurt University, Glenda Garcia Santos.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you better, yeah.
Thank you. So I'm Glenda Garcia Santos. I'm associate professor at University of Klagenfurt in Austria, South Austria. My professorship is about